Hello everyone, we're Group 11 and this is how we generated letter grade scores from score files. Our objective was to develop a user-friendly VBA application to enhance the grading process in university. Besides complying with stated assumptions, best programming practices, and leaving helpful comments within the code, our program needed to provide several additional functionalities. We decided on the following: to allow users to select and import files directly, to allow users to export grades and grade summaries in a separate Excel file, allow users to specify grade distributions, and to validate data correctness.
To be more user-friendly, we don't require users to prepare anything like opening file before starting this program. We assume users know nothing about how to use it, so we will provide instructions if actions are needed. Upon opening the program, F4 is assigned as the shortcut key that can pull out the user form, and the file Explorer show, which allows users to import the data file. If they cancel the importing process, import data button will be created on the cover page. And this time, let me try importing the data directly. If user import the data directly, the user form will show here. And the button of HKUST grading system, that is the user form launching button, is created here. Therefore, there's always only one button.
When the grade button is clicked, grading is assigned based on instructor preference. Data from the sheet that users select in the score file will be sorted in descending order based on total score. Then, the program generates two new columns between the total and TA checking column. The difference column shows the difference between a student's score to that of the student one rank below them, which the program then uses to generate grades in the adjacent column called grade. We will explain how this was performed during the highlight section of our video. Users may indicate their preference for grading distributions. If we click the instructor or university preference button, the program distributes grades based on preset percentages. Additionally, users can specify percentages of A, B, and C range awarded if we click the student preferences button.
After grades are generated, the grade summary shown on the same worksheet. The summary table is not set at actual location, so it will automatically be adjusted with the number of columns of the imported data. The summary simply includes the number and percentage of each grade. It also shows the percentage of each grade range, which makes it easier to double-check if the distribution aligns with their preference.
Once you complete the grading section, you can click the buttons called Validate Data Correctness. This button allows you to validate the correctness of data by comparing the student score in the main sheets and also with different assessment sheets. If the data is wrong, it will be highlighted in red. And also a message box will pop up telling you that there's some information are wrong, like this. Data in red is wrong. And if all the data is a match, then the data will be highlighted in yellows, and a message box will pop up telling you that all the data is correct. Just like this.
Next, I'll be going over another additional functionality for data visualization. Here's a brief description. After grading, the user can click on the View Statistic Report button on the user form to generate a summary report sheet displaying the grade distribution of students in details with charts. This is for showing the grade distribution in a more visualized way, giving user a better understanding of the student's performance. Firstly, the list of students with their ID, name, and grade are copied here. Next, the summary table is also copied here, and two charts are made. First, a pie chart showing the proportion of students lying in each subgrade in percentage. Next, a bar chart to show the actual number of students getting each subgrade. Afterward, the user could click the back button to go back to the original page or use the export feature.
Here we have our third additional functionality, export data. After generating the summary report as a new worksheet, the export button is enabled. Program will copy the summary report page as a new separate worksheet. Before saving the file, user can decide the file name and the location of their summary report. And here comes the separated report worksheet.
When we click the Clear button, we can undo all changes made by the application. This includes the sorting of the dataset, the generation of letter grades, and the generation of the statistics summary.
In addition, you can click Start a new calculation and edit at any time. After clicking Start a new calculation, the data file will be closed. The user form launching button will be deleted, and the info button will be created, which allows users to do what we mentioned previously. Lastly, after clicking the Exist button, student will close the imported data file, delete all button on the cover page, save the program file, and close all Excel windows.
Here's come to the grading part. We first identify any student would be graded as F. We use a for loop to check the last 3 rows to calculate whether the difference is larger than 15%. If yes, that student and students with lower scores will be graded as F. After that, we can work on the main grading part. We first calculate the corresponding numbers of grade A to C based on the grading distribution. The if statement will help us to identify which grading distribution is needed, then do the calculation. The remaining students who have not been assigned grade will receive a D grade. After inputting all grades, we will have a sorting function to find the 3 largest values in the differences column. If the values are the same, a random function is applied to get a random value from these students. This for loop will loop for 3 times to make sure we have inputting all 3 subgrades. There is no subgrade for D and F. We also highlighted the cutoff point to make it more readable.
For the additional function of checking the data correctness, we will first match the student ID in the main sheet with other assessment sheets using for each loop and also the if-then-else statements. We will then also use the if-then-else statements to compare the scores in the same row of the matching IDs. If the data match as well, then we will highlight the cell in the main sheet with yellow and otherwise in red. And we will repeat the process using for loop to check through all the students. And since we also need to warn the user with a message box if there is wrong data, we will first select all the sub-score in the main sheets, and then we will use for each loops. To see if there is red cell, then if yes, there will be a message box pop out to inform the user that there is some wrong data. Otherwise, a message box will pop up informing the user that all the data are correct.
For the stats report subroutine, firstly, a new sheet named summary report is created. Then data are copied from the main worksheet to this new sheet via the .copy function. Next, 2 chart objects are created where their size and position are preset here. Then, using the copy data as the source data, a pie chart is created. The data label are set to show outside of the chart using .setElement, MSO element, data label outside N to give a better feel. Also, value and header are set to false to only show the percentages. On top of that, a bar chart is also created using the same data and similar syntax, this time showing the actual amount of students in each subgrade. Last but not least, a button back is created when the statistics page is created. The back button will delete this current statistics sheet and return back to the main page.
There were 2 main problems that we encountered. The first one was using different variable names and having different flows, which made it inconvenient to share our ideas and work. However, the helpful comments left by everyone in their respective parts helped us better understand each other's approaches and to merge our parts. Second, the codependent nature of different features and functions made it hard to divide workload independently. For example, creative functionalities depend on how grading is implemented. For instance, the use of variable names or named ranges, etc. However, by having frequent meeting and setting internal deadlines, we were able to keep everyone on track and make sure that we can implement different parts smoothly. Regarding further improvements and future working, we would like to include a box and whisker diagram in the statistics page, which would show the maximum, minimum, interquartile range, and median of data to give another perspective of the score distribution. Furthermore, a function can be set up in a way that the user could input a student name or student ID, and then the mark of that student would be highlighted in the box and whisker diagram, just like how we can see where we stand in the distribution on Canvas. Secondly, we can allow users to change incorrect data or insert new student data. 2 buttons could be made so that the user can change certain marks of a certain student or add a new student record to the data set. And finally, we'd like to create a function that would allow us to detect and delete duplicate student records. When records with the same student ID is detected in the data, the program should delete it until 1 copy is left for each student ID. This will prevent duplicate entries, which would lead to inaccuracy of grading and grade distribution.